Hey everybody, Professor Benalou with the first of two short videos where I explain Unit 4 discussion board. The first video, which is obviously this video, will be discussing the assignment in general. And then the second video, I will be going over a little in depth the topics that you can choose. So Unit 4 discussion board is very similar to Unit 2 DB. It's broken up into two due dates, your original post and your response posts. Your original post is going to be due Friday, January 31st by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. Your response post will be due Tuesday, February 4th by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. And after February 4th, I will no longer accept Unit 4 discussion board responses. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Again, this is a very important assignment. This is the second of your two very important written assignments for this semester. Okay, so let's get going and let's discuss this. You need to choose a topic. There are 4 topics to choose from this time. You had 6 the first. Again, you're going to be analyzing a primary document. Once again, a primary document is a document that was written during the time period of history you are studying. So here are the 4 topics that you can choose from. The first is Reaganomics. And the Reaganomics topic, it's basically an interview with President Reagan. It's remarks on signing the Economic Recovery Tax Act of 1981 and the Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act of 1981. So that's the article you have to read associated with Reaganomics. It's a question and answer session with President Ronald Reagan. The second topic you can choose from is the first Gulf War. It's George H.W. Bush's speech that he gave in October of 1990 in front of the United Nations General Assembly regarding Iraqi aggression in Kuwait. So that is interesting as well. These are 4 interesting topics. You just need to choose the topic that interests you the most. There's a ton of research information out there on any of these topics. The third topic is basically the rise of conservatism. Patrick Buchanan's speech in front of the Republican National Convention in the summer of 1992. He was talking about a culture war, get into what the culture war was, etc., etc. And fourthly and finally, Ronald Reagan's famous tear down this wall speech that he gave in June of 1987 in front of the Berlin Wall. Basically, this is the end of the Cold War section. So keep all that in mind and just dive into the one that you feel interests you the most. Okay, so this is going to be broken down into 4 sections, where Unit 2 DB was broken down into 3 sections, your original post. Okay, so very important. This is what is due on the 31st. And again, don't be so overwhelmed. Just break it down into the different sections. And it's extremely similar to Unit 2 DB. We just have one added section. We build on what we did in Unit 2 DB. So keep that in mind, please. Okay, so the context section is going to be worth 15 points. Name the document you chose to analyze. Who is the creator of the document? When and where was the document created? That's the context section. Very similar to Unit 2 DB. Summary section is worth 20 points. Write a brief summary of the source. What's the topic or issue of the source? What are the creator's main points about the topic? And what is one interesting thing said in this source? That's the summary worth 20 points. Again, very similar to Unit 2 DB. Connection sections worth 10 points. Again, very similar to Unit 2 DB. How does the source connect to the Unit 4 learning materials? How does it help you better understand that moment in American history? Okay. How does it help you better understand Unit 4 and telepath? Does this source support what you already knew about the topic? If so, how? Does this source change the way you think about this topic? If so, how? That's the connection section. Issue today worth 10 points. Identify how the issue in the document relates to American life today. You'll want to use specific examples to explain your points. How is this document still relevant to us today in the year 2020? Okay? That's the added section. That is what is due January 31st. Okay. Your peer responses, where you respond to at least 2 of your fellow classmates. This is due February 4th. And again, after February 4th, Your peer responses will no longer be accepted. You need to respond to 2 of your classmates with at least a 100-word reply. Okay, so this is where this is a little different. Your reply to your fellow classmate must be at least 100 words. So you should be writing 200 words in your responses, okay, in total. You must answer the following questions. Again, I love my students. You all are all very supportive of one another. I've found that out throughout the years. But you can't just leave it at, you did a wonderful job. I really enjoyed reading your post. These are the 4 questions you should be answering in your response to your classmate. And you should be tailoring it to your fellow classmate's post. And remember, you want to further the conversation. So these are the 4 questions you should be answering, and you will have no problem meeting the 100-word requirement if you do this. What did you learn from your classmate's post? Are there any connections between their document and the unit materials that they did not mention? I like that question, thinking outside the box. Are there connections between what you learned from your source and what you learned about their source? And finally, what clarification do you need regarding the post? So all sources you use to complete this assignment, all research sources must be used or cited, using APA format. You need in-text citations and references. Okay, remember, it's incredibly important to back yourself up by continually using in-text citations throughout your work. That backs up your points and that properly credits your materials. And of course, if you use research resources, you need to use references at the end. Okay, very, very extremely important. The Writing Center is wonderful. One of my first announcements was about the Writing Center. Check it out if you're having issues with APA. This is going to be my grading criteria sheet that I will use to grade your DB. Okay, February 5th, I will be sitting down and I will be starting the process of grading your DB using this. Okay, so the context. Student identifies the creator, including a brief description. Student identifies when and where the document was created. My comments, how many points out of 15? Summary. Student fully summarized the document, identifying the main topic, the main points, and at least one interesting detail. My comments, how many points out of 20? Connection. Student identified connection between the primary source and the unit learning material. Student included a discussion of how the source expanded or changed their previous knowledge. My comments, how many points out of 10? The issue today. Student identifies how the issue in the document relates to American life today. Student evaluates the ways in which the issue has evolved. Student uses specific examples to explain their points. My comments, how many points out of 10? And this is why responding to your classmates by the 4th is so important. Don't have 15 points taken right off the bat just because you didn't respond to your classmates or you didn't respond to them in time. So peer responses. Student responded to at least 2 of your peers. You respond to at least 2 of your peers with 100 words each, you will get the 10 points. Response content. Peer response adds new depth or insight to the current conversation and encourages further conversation. Personally, I feel encourages further conversation is very important. My comments, how many points out of 5? Academic writing. Student uses proper spelling, punctuation, and grammar to write clearly and effectively. References, if provided, are in APA format. My comments, how many points out of 5? I apologize for this being so small, but it's the only way I could get it in the slide. I really apologize for that. Okay, so, my dear students, your original post is due Friday, January 31st by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. And the response posts are going to be due February 4th by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. And they will no longer be accepted after the 4th. Alrighty then, this is the conclusion of video number 1. Next video, I will be going into depth regarding the topics that you can choose from. Alrighty, let me know if you have any questions, everybody.